Welcome to Abolition Radio, the broadcast outreach of Love Never Fails, inviting you to join the fight to end human trafficking.
Oh, give me eyes to see. Oh, give me strength to lead. You give me all I need. So give me courage to believe.
Each week, Abolition Radio sheds light on the darkness of modern slavery, celebrates the work of abolitionists who are fighting for freedom, and equips the church to engage in the work of justice with hope rooted in God's Word. Our goal is to see a radio audience become an army of gospel activists.
You're in the neighborhoods we live in. You're in the ones we're passing by. You're in the ones we call our neighbors, and the ones who still escape our eyes.
Now, here's the host of Abolition Radio, founder and executive director of Love Never Fails, Vanessa Scott.
Thanks, Dave, and welcome to Abolition Radio, the broadcast outreach of Love Never Fails. We're here today and speaking with a really special young lady who is doing some awesome work in the area of human trafficking. But before I introduce her, I want to, of course, invite you to applaud and yell, yay, for my for my partner in justice, Miss Bonita Hopkins.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show.
We'd like to introduce to you all this young lady who is just doing some amazing things in the way of fighting against modern-day slavery, and she's been doing it now for the last, it's been 4 years, right?
Yeah, about 4 years, but a little bit more because of my mother and my involvement throughout my entire life with my mom's work.
That's right, the mom. So we are going to talk about your mom, and that is Alameda County District Attorney Fiona Bock, who has done some amazing work here in California, specifically most recently around Prop 35, but is just in her daily life, is just really dreaming the dream and fighting against human trafficking. But her daughter is who we are talking to today, and we are wanting to hear from you about a documentary and some other work that you're doing. So Fiona, welcome to the Abolition Radio Show.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yay.
So tell us a little bit about, obviously you've had sort of some exposure to this issue and lots of other, things that are plaguing our society and challenges that that we're trying to address to make the world, a safer place. Just having been in, the daughter of a district attorney. But, when do you feel like this fight became your fight, and how did that happen?
Let's see. So my mom went to testify in Sacramento for changing the law when I think I was in about 6th grade. Mm-hmm. And she came to speak at my school, my class in San Francisco, and my entire grade, we took a field trip to Sacramento, and we went and we sat in the courtroom and we listened to her testify. And I saw how many people were in the courtroom, and that's I think what I identify as like that big moment for me when things started to change, and it kind of became more my fight than my fight being as like an extension of her fight.
Right.
And I remember sitting in the courtroom and seeing how many people were there and just thinking, if everybody in this room did one small thing to benefit these girls or change the way they're treated or change the way they're seen, and how children who are exploited are viewed like day to day. If every person in there just made one action, did one thing, there could be such a huge change. Yes. Simply because of those small actions building up. That's right. And so that was kind of my moment when saying like, well, if there are that many people in there who care about this issue, then why can't we just get everybody else out there doing it?
Yeah. Wow. And so Bonita, 6th grade, went up to see a court case. That's like an interesting spin, right? On sure Love is. Don't Hurt. Maybe that's something that we can arrange with schools that would be open to that. I know there's a lot of orchestration, but
yes, so true. Because
my grade, we kind of filtered in and out of the courtroom in the seats like silently. And I sat there the entire time, but people in my class, they'd sit in for like a few minute periods. And I think that short period of time is enough to kind of open people's eyes a little bit more and see, okay, there are these many people who care about it, and you hear the people talking up at the podium saying, like, this is like a huge issue, this means a lot to me because of this, this, and this.
Yeah.
And it becomes so much more real and it's more tangible that way, I feel.
So do you think that those who were there in your class observing that they caught that bug like you did?
Yeah, definitely, because later on when I put together my 5K run in San Francisco, later in summer after my 8th grade year, all of my friends who had come and all of my friends who were who had gone on the field trip, they were supporting me out there. They were out there. They were running. They were talking with the girls from New Day, and they were just out there supporting everybody. It was kind of like this whole solidarity act, and I feel like the experience of being in the courtroom and listening to people testify to change the law and to support these girls who are exploited, I feel like that was a huge changing moment in an eye opener for them, and that's what I think brought them to support the run and like do it in solidarity for these girls,
and made a big difference in their lives.
Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah. Do you think So I've heard both sides of the argument about whether children in the 6th grade should be exposed to this issue, that there's some that believe that it's not happening even in their communities, and that it's a little bit too, I've been at events where I'm just generally saying, this is what we do. We fight against human trafficking. And here's a perfect example. We actually were doing a presentation at the Alameda County Fair. And while some of the comments were a little bit too in depth, describing that people are having sex with somebody for money, but being able to say, people are being held against their will, people are being sold as a product, and not actually describing the mechanics of it. Do you think that's appropriate for 6th graders to learn about?
I mean, I think it's appropriate. You can definitely talk about it on different levels, but if you're not going to talk about it to 6th graders, when are you going to start talking about it to them?
Yeah,
like 6th graders, I feel like parents think they know so much less than they actually do. When my brother was in 6th grade, he knew everything under the sun.
Yeah. Right.
So it's closed-minded to think that children aren't aware of these things. And I mean, the age of entry into child sex trafficking is 12 to 14. That's a 6th grader.
And here in the Bay Area, it's 11 to 13.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So it's
age.
relevant.
Yep.
Right.
So why wouldn't you?
Out of the mouths of babes.
Exactly.
She said it herself. We didn't say it.
And you can say it in so many different ways. You can say child exploitation. You could say, for even younger children, you could say bad people are tricking kids into doing things that aren't good for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. That they don't have the freedom to do.
Right.
Yeah. That they aren't doing it on their own.
Right.
Like they don't want to do this.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, it's so simple.
Right.
Yes.
And as you get older, you can start evolving those ways.
The other language.
You can start evolving the language, and it's. But if you're constantly talking about why you can't say these things, then when are you ever going to start saying it?
Right.
Yes.
And the other piece is
Very well put.
Yeah, so good. You come from a pretty good background, right? So I think there's a perception that this is only happening to a certain type of girl. And what I think is interesting is that and you can talk some more about your background. Maybe when we come back, we can learn a little bit more about you personally. But what I think is so interesting is that you, coming from the background that you come from, have been able to make this major contribution to the community. And other people can't heal unless there are people like you that step in and say, this is not okay with me, even though this might not be happening to me personally, or maybe I'm not seeing this in my neighborhood. I have a opportunity to make a difference. And so why not activate you as well in the fight? And because I've also heard the argument that, just pull the people that are being trafficked into a class, or the people that come from poverty households, or people that are the high risk people, pull them into a classroom and educate them. But it's like, no. I want to educate the kids that aren't involved, necessarily at this time, and you don't always know that just because of their socioeconomic background.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I mean, regardless of your social economic background, children are children. Like you're going to be friends with people on all ends of the spectrum.
Right.
And I mean, lead by example.
Yeah.
I mean, there's the huge, like with humans, there's a huge herd instinct almost.
Yeah.
Where if one person does it, everybody does it. And
Right.
it's like one by one, then you start creating this mass movement. And if you start isolating it into these smaller groups, then you never achieve the result that you
full
need.
result.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we know that this space affects every demographic.
Yeah.
Yeah, every social economic, every religion,
yeah. Every culture.
size,
like you
race,
said,
Yeah.
whatever.
And people are
spectrum.
people. So I mean, you can't isolate people saying that they're different.
Right.
Because how different can they be?
Right.
You're human.
Right.
Right.
Well, good. So we're going to come back. I'd love to hear, mix it up a little bit and get some of the inside scoop on your mom. Good stuff. Good stuff. So we'll be right back with another session of Abolition Radio.
We'll be back with more Abolition Radio right after these messages.
Trash bills weighing you down? At Case Industries, we specialize in lowering waste costs and providing trash consolidation and compaction services for multifamily properties, condos, and commercial shopping centers. Let us help you reduce operating expenses and increase property NOI. Case Industries, saving the planet, saving you money. Contact us today for a property trash and recycling assessment online at caseindustries.us or call 510-566-4223. That's caseindustries.us or call 510-566-4223. Case Industries, the property manager's friend.
Hi, I'm Sandra Herrera, CEO of Case Industries. I've found that many employers are looking for ways to help the community but don't know how. I encourage you to consider supporting Abolition Radio as a corporate sponsor. Love Never Fails offers all the resources necessary to help young women and men overcome the trauma of exploitation and abuse. And that's why I'm proud to have Case Industries supporting Abolition Radio.
Welcome back to Abolition Radio, where you are invited to join the fight against human trafficking.
And welcome back to Abolition Radio, the broadcast outreach of Love Never Fails. So we were just chatting a little bit about the ways in which young people starting at the age of sixth grade, right in that 11 to 14 age range, can really be activated through, in the case of Fiona, in a courtroom, or maybe in one of our classes, our freedom fighter classes, or our Love Don't Hurt classes, and really be put sort of right on track to fight against trafficking starting then. And so I want to talk a little bit about, during the break we were discussing your background, where you're going to school now, and some of the people that you're being exposed to where you're going to school. So you're in boarding school in the East Coast right now.
I'm at a boarding school called Hotchkiss in the upper northwest corner of Connecticut, and I understand that I know it's a huge privilege to go to boarding school, and boarding schools of that caliber, and the people I meet there's so many people there of huge, the whole spectrum of different socioeconomic backgrounds, and like racial and sexual orientation and everything. Every kind of person you can imagine is there, but it's still a huge privilege to be there, and I see a lot of people who have all these opportunities just kind of keeping them to themselves, saying, okay, I have this privilege, I understand I have this privilege, and they think they're doing enough by recognizing that they're privileged. Mm-hmm. But I mean, I think the idea of just keeping it to yourself is it's kind of, you're not exercising all of the doors that you've had opened for you. Mm-hmm. And other people deserve to have those kinds of opportunities. So my view on this whole thing is, like, I see that I have privilege, and I recognize that, and my parents, they come from totally different backgrounds as well, so I get to see both sides of the coin, but my view is that I'm responsible to open those doors for other people, when those doors were opened for me by different institutions and programs and stuff. So I feel like it's my duty to open these doors for children who are not as fortunate, and
Yeah.
Because I have the ability to open the doors for them. So
That's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, that is. And you know what's interesting is I come from a very different background, and I have that same feeling now that I am doing much better in my life, and at least socioeconomic status, if you want to say that. But yet I still feel, every step, every door that I break through, every accomplishment, I feel like, wow, that opens not just me up, but it opens a community of people up to new possibilities.
yeah.
And
no matter where you come from, there are people more fortunate than you are, and there are people less
Yes.
fortunate than you are.
Yes.
Right.
And you have to be able to see that, no matter where you are
Yeah,
on that
it-
spectrum.
Yeah, and it just sounds like what has made the difference is maybe being exposed to the ways in which you personally can use your opportunity to help others
Yeah.
that really resonate with you. So now I know that you're actually making a documentary, right? So you're interested in this issue of social justice, but you're also interested in learning more about film, right?
Yeah, film and photography has been a huge part of part of my curriculum at school. And it's been something that I've been interested in, and combining these two things, it was kind of a huge, big, oh my God, yes, this is a great idea sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I've actually been working with my film teacher, Eric, and my photography teacher, Mr. Locke, at school. And I've been working on getting some stills when I go undercover with the Oakland Police and putting together this documentary for awareness for child exploitation and child sex trafficking. And my focus on that documentary is kind of dispelling these stereotypes and stigmas that we often place on these children. So that and really changing the way people see it. And so people who who have not had the same exposure as me to this issue, so they're able to see, it's not just in Asian countries, so it's not just in foreign, it's not just in this age group, it's not just in this socioeconomic class, it's not just in this not just with this gender. It's so they're able to see that it's people just like them, people who live 5 minutes away. In their own backyard practically, so they're able to see how close to home it actually is when otherwise they would have no idea.
Yeah. So on that, one of the things I like about, we had a little bit of dialogue, and you're actually interviewing a couple of Love Never Fails survivors for the documentary, and we're excited about hearing, some real raw perspectives, perspectives on this issue. I think because it's been so foreign or not foreign, but a hard topic to take, we tend to kind of put things in safe boxes,
candy coat them.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so
Yes.
that
Yeah.
because it's so people just shut down if it gets too gritty or whatever. But I kind of feel like you want to dig into that box a bit. Is that?
Yeah, definitely. There's this. We see with horror movies. People are kind of into this the glory and gore thing. So as long I'm not into the candy coating thing. Keeping it raw is the only way that you're gonna show people that this is an actual issue. And if you just give them in this documentary, you say here's a solution, here's a solution, here's a solution. They're like, oh, it's already solved. I don't need to do anything. But what I want to do is kind of show people that this is an actual issue and say we need help. This we need action. So and that's been my whole thing, keeping it just clean cut, just this is what these survivors are saying, this is their experience, this is their story. You need
Respect the story.
Respect the story, understand where they're coming from, understand that they're just like you.
Right.
And see that it's a genuine issue and it's an epidemic.
Yeah. Yeah. So, one of the things that we had talked about doing, is kind of really talking around some of the realities. For example, I think people have a perception that once you rescue someone, you rescue,
and that's enough.
We're done.
Yeah,
we're finished.
No, it's certainly a process with everything. It's not like you just send somebody away for 2 weeks and they're like, oh, I've come to this conclusion that everything that I've done in the past is this is this and that is that.
Yeah,
it's not that easy.
No.
With anything you ever do. It's like when you're a child, you need like positive reinforcement. You need constructive criticism. It's just like everything else in life. It's a learning process.
Yeah.
And you have to be given the time and the space and the support to learn and grow.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of people, like, as you were saying, they think like, okay, you help them once and everything's all like
it's done,
happy and rainbows and sunshine.
Yeah, well, there was a couple of leaders in this space that actually said so there's actually evidence-based studies that have shown that the average number of times that a person leaves in a domestic violence situation is 7 times. So they go back to their abuser 7 times. And there's been commentary. I don't think there's been an actual scientific study done, but that there's been commentary amongst survivors that it's about 3 times that for survivors of human trafficking. So 21 times because of that attachment trauma or that trauma bonding.
But it's so real.
Yeah.
It's like you learn from your mistakes.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. But I mean, you need that constant, like, you learn, you go back, you see, oh, it's not what I thought it was. You learn a little bit more, you go back again. You say, okay, starting to get there. And it's really it's a learning process. You can't just put these labels on people. You can't keep putting them down because that's not going to go. You're not going to get anywhere with that.
That's right.
You just need to support people through the process and recognize that that everybody's fighting their own battle.
That's right.
Girl, you are wise beyond your years.
Wait, how old are you?
I'm 17.
17!
Wow. 17.
There you have it.
Wow.
There you have it. For anyone who was saying, don't bother the young, the teenagers with this, we need to get in front of the young people because they have a voice and they have something really good to say. So we'll be right back with another session of Abolition Radio.
We'll be back with more Abolition Radio right after these messages from our sponsors.
Hi, this is Vanessa Scott with Abolition Radio, where every week we invite you to join the fight to bring an end to human trafficking. Abolition Radio is the broadcast outreach of Love Never Fails, our nonprofit, which is dedicated to the rehabilitation, education, and protection of youth involved or at risk of becoming involved in domestic sex trafficking. Our goal with Abolition Radio is to eradicate human trafficking in all forms, sex trafficking and labor trafficking locally and globally. We are excited to bring this program to KFAX as we will share stories of hope and opportunities to mobilize the body of Christ and turn this audience into an army of gospel activists who will speak up for justice and act on behalf of those who are trapped or recovering from slavery. Find us on Facebook at Abolition Radio or on the web at abolitionradio.org and join me each Saturday at 3 p.m. for an exciting episode of Abolition Radio right here on AM 1100 KFAX.
Welcome back to Abolition Radio, where you are invited to join the fight against human trafficking.
And welcome back to Abolition Radio, the broadcast outreach of Love Never Fails. So we're in the studio today with Fiona, who is a young lady with a cause, young lady that's ready to take. We were just saying, vote for Fiona, right?
Yes.
You ready?
God.
I think you're going to give them a good run for their money. So I don't think she has an interest in going into law or the politics at this time, right?
Not at this moment.
Okay. All right.
But we need you.
I mean, there are other ways to help, definitely.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right. So, I wanted to go back to you mentioned that you've gone with OPD on a couple of ride-alongs.
That actually, I've not gone yet.
Oh, you're going.
That's within the next week or so.
Cool. Gotcha.
Cool,
okay.
cool.
Yeah. So I was going to ask you, what did you think? Because we do street outreach and we go out and minister and pray with and give food to and give clothing out to people that are out on the street. And it's really, for me, it's been life-changing. Like when I'm out there, there are times when the street just looks so beautiful to me. I know a couple of people that I've been with, I'm like, it's just glistening out here.
Yeah, I know when you go at that perfect hour. And I know I've driven down International Boulevard many, many times with my mother. And when you have the sun just right, it looks beautiful. But you don't see the realities.
Yeah. And even, I guess there's a certain joy that I get in being out there knowing that, you know, it might be cold or it might be raining or it might smell bad, but I feel like I'm with the people that need me to be there, you know, and it gets me excited. I just feel like I'm home. I don't know why, but it's just knowing that they don't have to be out there by themselves. Just for 5 minutes or 10 minutes really gives me a lot of joy and peace. When you think about going out there, do you have any fear or trepidation about that?
Not really, no. I mean, the people that I will be going out there with and riding in the car with are people that I've known my entire life, really, because of my mother and her work in Oakland and with OPD. And, like, they're people that I've known since I was, like, I could barely walk.
Right.
So it's something that, and it's a topic that I've been around my entire life. And when I was younger, my birthday parties, my friends would always ask my mom when she was putting us to bed at like sleepovers, they'd be like, tell a scary story. And then she'd tell real stories.
Yeah, right.
And so, I mean, I'd be like,
once upon a time there was a guy.
Yeah, and it's like, oh God.
Yeah.
So it's something that's been like a part of me my entire life. So it's not something that's like, oh my God, is this really real? Oh my God, this is so scary. What's going to happen?
Right.
It's something that I see as real, and I see as like, I don't see the people as scary. Like, I don't see like the people as super scary. I don't see the police as intimidating. Right. I don't see like any of like the negative connotations that many people often see.
Other people might see. So on that note, so you've been around this most of your life, you know, having a mom as a district attorney, and you were saying also before we started that sometimes, you know, having that, and I think probably my children can relate to this with me being in this fight, you know, you're always so quick to, you know, if someone is robbing my kids of any of their rights or doing anything to disturb their learning, their education or whatever, I mean, I'm down to the school before they can finish their sentence. Like, let's talk about this. So you talked about how your mom sometimes helps you find your voice.
Yeah, well, I mean, she's so used to working with like victims that don't really have a voice. Right. And she oftentimes is their voice.
Yes.
So occasionally she kind of treats me the same.
Yeah.
And she talks for me, or she'll kind of think that she's giving me a voice, but I'm like, Mom, hold on. Like, I got a voice. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
I got it.
Yeah, I got to
like, okay,
see
I'm
that.
sorry. And then 5 minutes later, she'll be like, I'm like, no, don't worry. I've got it.
I saw them in action last week, and it was pretty funny, the two of them. She's like, and Fiona thinks this and that, and Fiona is not going to have this or that. And she's like, Mom, I can say that for myself. Mom,
I am here in the
down.
room.
Mom, go out in the hallway. And I'm like, oh, man, I have so been sent out in the hallway before.
Yes.
So, and occasionally she sees it, she's like, okay, I'm leaving.
It's over. Okay, fine. You can fight your own battles.
But you know what? The flip side of that is I have 3 adult children, and they have seen me do the same thing, and they have done the same thing to me, but they're now in their, you know, young adult lives are noticing the places where there's something about that, and wanting to do something about it.
Yeah.
Wanting to speak up to...
Yeah, there's certainly a time and place for everything.
Oh, there's definitely. I mean, but it has taught them to speak up for the voiceless. Yes. And to advocate for those in need. And
I see that.
Who need help.
Yeah, because I've met a lot of the victims that she's worked with, and I see that she's oftentimes their voice, and by being their voice, and she's almost leading by example. And they then develop a voice because she's been their voice.
Exactly. And it makes you question, too. Yeah. You know, you might, well, I wonder, is this right? You know, and that type of thing. So.
Yeah, and sometimes, you know, when we talk about stages of change, right, there's 5 stages of change. There's pre-contemplation, contemplation, plan, action, and maintenance. And when we look at that spectrum, really, when you start to think about getting out of an exploitative relationship or any abusive relationship or doing anything that's, you know, maybe a healthy lifestyle change, you have to start to contemplate whether this is the right thing for you. You know, weigh it out. Is it, you know, is me not having this chocolate bar
really the best decision,
right?
Yeah.
You know, and so and it's funny how behaviors. You know, we can. I've always said this about trafficking when people issue their judgments and they say, "Well, why doesn't she just leave them?" And you know, and if I was going to be nasty, I'd be like, well, why don't you just lose 50 pounds?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you know. You've been saying you wanted to lose that weight for all this time, and you're not able to do it. Why not?
Yeah.
Why don't you have $2,000 in your bank account? Well, I just keep overspending. But why?
Yeah, it's
you know,
there's like the cause and effect is often like you often don't see it. It's
right.
Like behind closed doors, what's going on?
Right.
And it's hard. It's really hard. Like I'm guilty of it too.
Yeah.
Like working with my mom. Like why don't you just do that? Like it doesn't make sense to me. Like. Why?
Right.
And it seems kind of backwards when you think about it when you're in your own head. Like if it's something that you do, and they're not doing, it's confusing. But then there could be other things that they do that you have an issue doing.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. So we all have our makeup and our background and our things that set us up for success and failure and challenges, and you know, and so this is, you know, the more I think we can embrace that, the more we can embrace that and see each other as humans that have, you know, that all have things that we're working on.
That's my biggest thing is I feel like children who are exploited are often seen as like victims. Like what's a victim? Is a victim a person?
Right.
It's like they're people.
Right.
It's like they're real people, and I feel like that's often concealed.
Right.
Like you're like, okay, this person has been exploited, but like you don't often see them as a person or real, as a human, just like you are. You don't see them as an equal.
Yeah.
When oftentimes they can even be like, you're the lesser.
Right.
Like, and it's a huge issue. I think that that outsiders can't keep an open mind when looking in and can't see them as just humans.
Right.
And I feel like that's one of the issues that I'm really trying to address in my documentary.
Yeah, I love it.
Is exposing just the humanity of it.
Yeah, and you know, one other thing. What do you think about folks that tend to lean on the side of pity? You know, you see someone and they're exploited. Oh, poor exploited girl or poor exploited boy. You know,
why don't they do something? If you're pitying them, like just don't say anything. Just do something.
Yeah, but to you know what made me think of that was when you were saying like they're a human and they have things that they're good at I might not be good at.
I could be pitying them for just being inactive.
Right.
Like I pity you. I'm so sorry you have the inability to help other people.
Right. Right. So
it's like it goes both ways. Everybody has the things that they're good at, and everybody has the things that they're not so good at.
Right. Yeah. So we're going to come back, and I want to ask a couple more questions about the documentary and then future walks that you might have, you know, be scheduling. We didn't get to talk too much about that. And other programs that you are linked to, like New Day for Children is one of the agencies that we've worked with. We actually were at your first walk in support of New Day for Children. So we'll come back in just a second, and thank you for listening to Abolition Radio.
We'll be back with more Abolition Radio right after these messages.
This is Pastor Gary from Faith Fellowship in San Leandro. We are so excited about the launch of Abolition Radio every Saturday. And we have seen Love Never Fails under Vanessa Scott grow right here in San Leandro out of our church at Faith Fellowship. And now her ministry, God gave her a passion to get young people out of the sex trafficking and sex slave industry. And she has been doing a phenomenal job. Not only is it locally, but now it's going globally. In fact, I prophesied to her that God was going to use her to go nationwide, and that's exactly what's been happening. She is a woman with a vision, with a direction, and a passion to see these young people come out of this kind of arena. And to God be the glory. Join with her every Saturday on Abolition Radio to hear what she has to say and then become a part of what she's doing. AbolitionRadio.org. Love never fails.
Welcome back to Abolition Radio, where you are invited to join the fight against human trafficking.
And welcome back to Abolition Radio, the broadcast outreach of Love Never Fails. So we were just chatting about the walk that you kickstarted for New Day, a 5K walk / run that has traditionally happened in May or September, I believe, in San Francisco, right, is where it started.
Around Lake Merced.
Yeah. And so I believe the one that was done this year was in May 31st. I'm looking at the website here. So we, first of all, what gave you the idea of doing a 5K walk?
Well, I mean, for me, the whole thing that kickstarted this whole thing was the notion of girls on track. Because the track is what's commonly known as where the girls are sold throughout the country, and the track that most children from like my demographic associate with like a running track.
Right.
So there's that kind of double meaning with the track, girls on track, and it's kind of this notion of solidarity. That was where everything came from for me. So that was where that whole thing started, and then it evolved, and because New Day for Children was the organization that I had known most personally. So that was the organization that I from the beginning was like, okay, this is the one I'm going to benefit because I know they're legitimate. I know that they help these girls. They give them the same opportunity that I've been given with the boarding school and the horseback riding. Because horseback riding for me when I was younger, it's been like my Prozac almost.
Yeah,
and
I love it.
And it's a great experience. Like you're alone, but you also have this connection that you establish with the horse that is it's therapeutic, and it's you're responsible for the well-being of you and another, so you feel like you're helping another and you're working with another to benefit both of you. And it might seem kind of weird or just not quite right, like kind of backwards, but it's when you experience it, it's so real. And you talk to these girls about their experiences with the therapeutic horseback riding program, it's huge.
Right.
The benefits.
Yeah.
And the fact that these girls were at New Day, they were being given the opportunities that I've been given throughout my entire life from my privileged background. And it seemed just so great to me.
Yeah. No,
like they
I
get
agree.
the boarding school, they get the education, they get the arts programs, they get the horseback riding, they get like the amazing teachers, they get all of this stuff that I've been given, and it just seemed like a no-brainer to support them because
yeah,
that was
who wouldn't want that?
yeah, who wouldn't want that?
Right.
And especially for these girls who have gone through so much more than I could ever imagine.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I know a few people that have attended their program, and like you said, it's just been life-changing for them. So, I love that you're continuing to support them, and I believe you were able to raise $35,000 the first year, right?
The first time around, $35,000. Yeah, and then it was from different sponsors that I've known my entire life. Who, one of my mom's good friends, works for a VC firm, and she got all of the companies that she had funded with all these really cool gadgets and stuff like that. She got them to donate prizes, and that kind of drew people and to sign up and donate. And because once they saw this cool prize, and then they went to the website, they learned a little bit more about it, and they were like, wow, this is actually like an interesting, cool issue that's real and it's close to home.
Right.
So then they go, okay, let me just donate some money because this kind of touches me a little bit, or this hits close to home for me, and it seems important. And then you have this. Once you establish something, then you're able to continue it. Like that's why I feel like it's been so successful. It's because you just need the foundations, and that in every sense of it, it is the necessity there with like the program and walks, and with supporting girls and young boys who are victims of human trafficking.
Right.
It's the foundations that are so important. And once you educate somebody fundamentally, then you have the ability to move above and beyond.
Yeah, absolutely. So, it's funny. I mean, just them investing financially, maybe initially, And then,
and that gives them the ability to put together these programs, and then
Right.
it becomes more like, I don't know, quote unquote, renowned.
right.
And then you have this idea like, wow, this is such a great program, and more people know about it, and then they keep supporting it until it grows into this huge thing where so many children get these opportunities that they would otherwise not ever see.
Never
Right.
see. Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. So, you know, this is just for me hearing you speak. And again, going back to those doors that you had opened that are available to you, the opportunities that are available to you, and being able to go and contact a venture capitalist and say, hey, do you have some prizes that you can contribute to helping me to create some sponsor packages and whatnot, or incentives for attending the walk. I mean, something just like that. If you have a relationship with somebody who works,
And once you get down to it, these big name people, they're humans too,
right?
Exactly.
And they have hearts. They're compassionate, and they like the idea of doing something in solidarity with people like less fortunate. And it's
it's funny. I used to be very intimidated before I started working in my day job at Cisco. I was very intimidated by money, by people who had money. I never wanted to ask them for anything. I just felt like they might be a different kind of person. I had this perception about that. And as I've come into this role where many of the people that I work with are pretty well off, I just realized that, it's just maybe a lack of knowing how you can help.
Yeah.
And so when you start to say, hey, can you contribute $25, or can you help me find somewhere that will give prizes out? I mean, just make it plain, make it simple.
Yeah, and in not expecting much from people, you're not allowing yourself like this room to grow. And when you expect more from people, they deliver more.
Yeah.
It's because you hold them to this standard. They're like, oh, you believe in me, you're okay,
Right.
That's great,
Yeah.
And then you just need to believe in it a little bit more. And I agree with you. Everybody's a product of circumstance.
Yeah.
And you need to see, everybody needs to see that you're products of your own circumstance. So you need to keep an open mind for other people that maybe didn't have those same opportunities, or maybe did have more opportunities. And you need to educate everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone needs this kind of education. It's not just like one person, one group, one
Exactly.
demographic that you need to educate. It's not just the poor working class.
Right.
You need to educate like the super wealthy people that it's not just Asians in human trafficking.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That it's everyone. It
Yeah.
can be their nephew
Right.
Right. Right.
or their
Granddaughter.
Their granddaughter.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. So, what would you say if to the 17-year-olds and let's say the teens that are listening right now? What do you want them to know from you, Fiona, as one of their colleagues, peers?
That I guess my biggest thing would be that you're not too small. I feel like as a teenager you think like, oh yeah, none of the adults are going to listen to me. But I mean, if you just get out there and you kind of just force your voice onto them, then they start to respect you more once they realize that you're able to speak on your own. So just this idea that you're big enough. You're big enough to make this difference. You're big enough to prove to people that you have this ability, and that those kids out there are just like you.
Right.
And they just need this space and this time to develop this voice and to prove themselves.
Yeah.
And it's just like you're big enough, I guess, is like what I would like the core thing that I'm.
Because life for them is already hard, right?
Right.
So those who have been exploited. So you want to make it as normal as possible and provide, the privilege of others for them to make it as normal as possible.
Yeah, and even as a teenager, you go through enough. So you can relate on that level at least.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you heard it.
Yep.
You're big enough to make a difference.
That's right.
And I would say that even if those, whether you've been abused, exploited, or maybe that hasn't happened to you and you come from a privileged background, whatever it is, you're big enough to make a difference.
Yes.
And we'll be right back with another session of Abolition Radio.
We'll be back with more Abolition Radio right after these messages from our sponsors.
Trash bills weighing you down? At Case Industries, we specialize in lowering waste costs and providing trash consolidation and compaction services for multifamily properties, condos, and commercial shopping centers. Let us help you reduce operating expenses and increase property NOI. Case Industries, saving the planet, saving you money. Contact us today for a property trash and recycling assessment online at caseindustries.us or call 510-566-4223. That's caseindustries.us or call 510-566-4223. Case Industries, the property manager's friend.
Hi, I'm Sandra Herrera, CEO of Case Industries. I've found that many employers are looking for ways to help the community but don't know how. I encourage you to consider supporting Abolition Radio as a corporate sponsor. Love Never Fails offers all the resources necessary to help young women and men overcome the trauma of exploitation and abuse. And that's why I'm proud to have Case Industries supporting Abolition Radio.
Welcome back to Abolition Radio, where you are invited to join the fight against human trafficking.
And welcome back to Abolition Radio, the broadcast outreach of Love Never Fails. Well, thank you so much, Fiona, for just being here with us and really making sure that your voice is heard.
Mm-hmm.
We appreciate you so much. And just to recap, you're big enough to make a difference. So I love that. So we are going to kind of branch over into talking about some of the events we have coming up. Before we do that, just want to remind you that if you want to learn more about Love Never Fails, you can go to our website, which is Love Never Fails Us. That's us.com. LoveNeverFailsUs.com. You can learn more about Abolition Radio and listen to previous episodes on abolitionradio.org. And you can also learn more about a variety of our different programs by liking the various pages that we have. So one of the pages you want to like is Abolition Radio. And you'll be able to learn more about, we post pictures of people that are speaking every week on that page. And we talk about the different sessions that we'll be playing. And then, of course, on Love Never Fails page, we talk about all the different things we're doing in the community, our outreaches, we're going to be going up and speaking at the California Department of Education in August and talking with a board of folks about that. So we'll give you updates on those kind of things. So please do like those pages so you can stay in the loop. We also have other pages like Youth Commission Against Trafficking, which is YCAT. We have Project Look for Me if you want to be involved in receiving missing and exploited children ads and helping us to find those children. Go to like that page, Project Look for Me. And then we have some events that are going on in the community.
Yes, we have an upcoming accelerated Mentors for Positive Change class that is coming up. Starting on August 8th for about 4 hours on Saturdays, this accelerated class from August 8th to September 12th. You can, if you're interested in that, I would email mentors@loveneverfailsus.com, and Misty will help you to get involved with that and with all the information and the pertinent details in that regard. We also have on the 8th as well our big LNF tour, our big benefit concert benefiting the I Am House of Restoration, and it will be held at Templo de la Cruz on the 8th of August from 4 to 7. And that is 24362 Thomas Avenue, Hayward at Templo de la Cruz Church there. Love Never Fails benefit concert. And on August 15th, there will be a back-to-school health fair that we're participating in at Solid Rock Church of God in Christ in Newark. And those hours are from 10 to 2 there. And last but not least, September 12th, at Faith Fellowship Church, the Beauty of a Woman Conference. We will be participating in from 8:30 to 2:30, and it is a conference for young women. And it will be, you can register online at faith-fellowship.us/beauty at their website there. And you will get all more information, but that is September 12th at Faith Fellowship Church, the Beauty of a Woman Conference.
All right. And just a little bit more detail about the Love Never Fails tour. So we're really excited. We're actually going to have the SUA sisters come down from Central Valley and share their gifts. We're going to have Pastor Larry from Oakland City Church.
Yes,
Larry Austin. He's going to come and share actually a rap that he's made about human trafficking and a variety of other things.
On his new CD.
And we are going to have Yoshika McAllister. I believe Joe Carey's going to be there. I'm not 100% sure. The LNF tour will be singing. And then we are going to hear from other artists throughout that time. So we just want to encourage you to come out. Also, we were wearing some really awesome T-shirts that Brycey Randolph and Marilyn Fidel designed. And they say, "Can you help me stop human trafficking?" on them. And those will be for sale at the front door at the tour. And that is $10 for small, medium, large, and $12 for extra large.
And it's actually your ticket to the concert.
It's your ticket to get. So you get a T-shirt and a ticket, right?
So save the date. Actually, you can go to tour at loveneverfailsus.com for more information there. But your ticket is the T-shirt. So order your T-shirt as an admission. And if you want to order on that day or come on that day to the concert, you can buy your T-shirt at the door for your admission.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Yay. All right. Well, thank you so much for, again, to Miss Fiona, for being here with us. Our young advocate who is just taking on the world by storm. And again, for those of you who have not heard this, maybe you haven't listened before, but we always want to leave our program letting you know that you are loved.
Thanks for joining us this week on Abolition Radio. We trust that you've been inspired by these stories of hope and survival, and that you'll accept our challenge to get involved by contacting us at abolitionradio.org, by liking and sharing our page on Facebook, Facebook/Abolition Radio, or by making a contribution directly to Love Never Fails. Abolition Radio is the broadcast outreach of Love Never Fails, which is a donor-supported, nonprofit ministry that Vanessa founded as a way of directly impacting the lives of young people who are trapped in or at risk of becoming involved in sex trafficking. This broadcast needs your involvement and support. To find out more, simply go to abolitionradio.org and click on Love Never Fails. Today's program was brought to you in part by Case Industries and with major support from the staff and membership and donors at Faith Fellowship Church. Our theme song, Courage to Believe, is by Justin McRoberts. Hear more about his passion for justice and art at justinmcroberts.com. Our audio engineer is Jarrell Martin, and this is Dave Naderhood. On behalf of Vanessa, Benita, and the whole team at Love Never Fails, thanks for listening, and thanks even more for taking action to help set captives free.
You're in the neighborhoods we live in. You're in the ones we're passing by. You're in the ones we call our neighbors, and the ones who still sleep our eyes.